On a cold March night in 2004, 17-year-old Brianna Maitland finished her shift at the Black Lantern Inn in Montgomery, Vermont. She told her co-workers she needed to head home because she had to work early the next morning. It would be the last time anyone would see her. Brianna wasn't your typical teenager. Friends described her as a backcountry hippie chick who could track animals through the woods, loved funny hats, and was known for her infectious personality. She was trained in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, cared deeply for her pets, a Shar-Pei named Lau, and a cat called Muffin, and drove a light green 1985 Oldsmobile sedan inherited from her grandfather. 3 days after her disappearance, her car was discovered backed into an abandoned barn on Route 118, the rear end partially inside the structure. The scene was so unusual that passers-by stopped to photograph it. Inside the vehicle, investigators found 2 uncashed paychecks and other personal belongings. Curiously, despite the car being registered to Brianna's mother, no one contacted the family about the discovery. The initial investigation revealed that Brianna had left work around 11:30 p.m. on March 19, 2004. She was seen leaving alone, appearing to be in good spirits. The discovery that she never made it home would only come days later, when her parents were finally notified that she was missing. In the years since her disappearance, multiple theories have emerged. Some suggested a drug-related incident, while others pointed to the possibility of a serial killer. In 2022, investigators made a breakthrough when they identified DNA found in the vicinity of Brianna's car, though the source of this DNA has not been publicly revealed. What makes this case particularly haunting is how Brianna seemed to vanish into thin air, leaving behind a scene that raised more questions than answers. Her car, backed into an abandoned barn, has become an enduring image of this unsolved mystery, symbolizing the abrupt and unexplained nature of her disappearance. Despite extensive searches, including efforts by hundreds of volunteers, no trace of Brianna has ever been found. The investigation remains active, with law enforcement continuing to pursue leads and analyze evidence. Her family, particularly her father Bruce Maitland, has never stopped searching for answers about what happened to his daughter on that March night in Vermont. In the humid evening hours of May 30th, 2012, 19-year-old Brittany Wood left her mother's house in Mobile, Alabama, carrying a pink or teal tote bag. She told her mother she was going to visit a friend. Instead, she got into a vehicle with her uncle, Donnie Holland. It would be the last time anyone would see her alive. What began as a missing persons case would eventually unravel into one of Alabama's most disturbing criminal investigations, exposing a multi-generational family sex ring that had operated undetected for years. Brittany's early life was marked by trauma. At a young age, she was molested by her maternal grandmother's boyfriend, who was later sentenced to life in prison. By 17, she was a mother herself, trying to navigate life while bouncing between relatives' homes in the Mobile area. Despite her challenges, those who knew Brittany described her as a fighter and someone who deeply loved children, especially her own daughter. She maintained close relationships with both her mother Chessie Wood and her father Wally Hankey, along with her stepmother Stephanie Hankey. On the evening of her disappearance, Brittany's phone records show she was actively communicating with friends via text messages and calls until approximately 11:30 p.m. After 11:36 p.m., all incoming calls went straight to voicemail. Her phone made its final ping at 1:47 a.m. in Grand Bay, closer to her home. 2 days later, on June 1st, Donnie Holland was found in his SUV in a secluded wooded area near his home with a gunshot wound to the back of his head. He was airlifted to a hospital in Pensacola, Florida, where he died. While officially ruled a suicide, many, including Britney's mother, question this determination given the unusual location of the wound. Notably, Holland was discovered just 30 minutes before he was scheduled to meet with investigators regarding an ongoing sex abuse investigation. In Holland's vehicle, investigators found Britney's handgun, which she had recently acquired for protection, and her cell phone battery. The discovery of these items marked the beginning of an investigation that would expose a horrific family secret. As law enforcement began digging deeper, they uncovered evidence of a family-run child sex ring. Over the course of the investigation, 11 members of the Wood family and close friends would face charges related to child sexual abuse. Investigators believe Britney may have been preparing to expose the abuse ring, as evidenced by Facebook messages she exchanged with another victim just days before her disappearance. The investigation into Britney's disappearance has led to multiple searches across Mobile and Baldwin counties over the years. In 2014, authorities processed evidence from a suspicious vehicle. In 2020, following a tip based on an age progression image of Britney, cadaver dogs searched a property in Grand Bay, but nothing significant was found. One of the most significant developments in the related cases came when Wendy Holland, Britney's aunt and Donnie's wife, was sentenced to 219 years in prison for her role in the family's sex abuse ring. However, no one has ever been charged in connection with Britney's disappearance. Mobile Police Department continues to manage Britney's case, which remains open. While authorities strongly suspect she is no longer alive, she remains officially listed as missing. Her mother, Chessie, has been vocal about her belief that Wendy Holland and the now deceased Donnie Holland were responsible for Britney's disappearance. In 2021, the streaming service Peacock released Monster in the Shadows, a documentary series examining the complex web of crime surrounding Britney's disappearance. The series featured interviews with family members, including Chessie Wood, who continues to search for answers about her daughter's fate. As of 2024, Britney would be 31 years old. In the quiet town of Clinton, Louisiana, where time seems to move a bit slower and neighbors know each other by name, a 2-year-old boy's disappearance would shatter the community's sense of security and launch a mystery that continues to haunt investigators more than 2 decades later. Wesley Dale Morgan was born on March 14, 1999, to Ruby Havard, who was just 17 years old at the time, and her boyfriend Dewey. The young family's dynamic would soon change when Ruby and Dewey separated shortly after Wesley's birth, leaving the infant in his mother's sole custody. By May 15, 2001, Ruby had formed a new relationship with a man named Burnell Hilton Jr., a connection that would later raise questions among investigators. On that spring morning, at approximately 9:45 a.m., Ruby claims she left her 2-year-old son Wesley on the front porch of their home, where he was playing with a litter of puppies. She says she went inside briefly to prepare lunch. When she returned, Wesley had vanished. The initial story seemed simple enough. Ruby suggested Wesley might have followed one of the puppies away from the porch, but as hours turned into days, this explanation would begin to unravel, revealing inconsistencies that would transform a missing persons case into a criminal investigation. Law enforcement launched an immediate and extensive search operation. The Clinton Police Department coordinated with multiple agencies, deploying ground teams on foot and horseback, while helicopters equipped with infrared technology scanned the dense Louisiana woods. The Louisiana National Guard joined the effort, expanding the search to a 5-mile radius around the Morgan home. But as the investigation progressed, troubling details emerged. Burnell Hilton Jr., Ruby's boyfriend, was arrested for his involvement in an October 1998 shooting death of a bystander. A case unrelated to Wesley's disappearance, but one that cast a shadow over the investigation. More concerning was Ruby's sudden shift in behavior. The mother, who had reported her son missing quickly, became uncooperative with search efforts, refusing to assist investigators in their attempts to locate her son. In a desperate attempt to find answers, authorities even consulted a self-proclaimed psychic detective. But like every other lead in the case, this too led nowhere. Wesley Morgan had seemingly vanished without a trace. The case lay dormant for years, until April 2016, when the Federal Bureau of Investigation announced a renewed investigation and offered a $10,000 reward for information. 21 electronic billboards were erected throughout the Baton Rouge area, displaying Wesley's information and the FBI's contact details. Today, Wesley Dale Morgan would be 23 years old. His case remains one of Louisiana's most perplexing missing persons investigations, with more questions than answers. The toddler who disappeared while playing with puppies has never been found, and no one has ever been charged in connection with his disappearance. In December 2011, the affluent town of Andover, Massachusetts, became the scene of a disturbing double homicide that continues to puzzle investigators to this day. The victims were John Jack Magee Jr., age 69, and his wife Geraldine Jerry Magee, age 67, a successful couple whose execution-style murders would leave their community stunned and searching for answers. Jack Magee was a prominent construction contractor in the area, while Jerry was a retired teacher who had explored over 70 countries during her lifetime. Their 39-year marriage had produced 2 children, and by all accounts, they were living the American dream in their upscale Andover home. On December 13, 2011, Jack spent the day running work-related errands, returning home around 4:30 p.m. Jerry was at their residence, preparing the house for the upcoming Christmas holiday. What happened next would forever change their families' lives. The following day, the Magee's daughter made a horrifying discovery. She found her parents lying face down in their living room, positioned head to head. Jack had sustained multiple gunshot wounds to his head and neck, while Jerry had been killed by a single gunshot to the head. The precision and positioning of the bodies immediately suggested to investigators that this was no random act of violence. Adding to the mystery, the couple's black Lexus SUV was discovered 30 miles away in Boston's South End, deliberately set ablaze, a classic tactic used to destroy evidence. In 2024, over a decade after the murders, the District Attorney's Office released new information that would shed additional light on the case. The murder weapon was identified as a .45 caliber firearm, and investigators revealed they had a basic description of a suspect, a male of average height and build. Perhaps most intriguingly, authorities stated that the crime scene appeared to have been deliberately staged to resemble a mob-related hit. Despite extensive investigation, the murders of Jack and Jerry Magee remain unsolved. The brutality of the crimes, the positioning of the bodies, and the burning of their vehicle all point to what investigators believe was a carefully planned execution. Yet the motive continues to elude them, as does the identity of the killer or killers. The case remains active, with Massachusetts State Police continuing to seek information from anyone who might help bring justice to the Magee family.